Never cease to end. It's almost like every day there's multiple tragedies like this. But this is a case of, I think his name is Deontay, whatever his name is. But I believe this is a case of a man, a black man, who didn't want to face responsibility. You see, these men, they have an issue with responsibility. They don't want to have to deal with having kids. They don't want to have to deal with child support. And when a woman makes a decision to finally leave them, they can't seem to accept it. And we're seeing this same story unfold day after day after day after day. And the thing is, a lot of these men complain about black women. They'll say, oh, black women, they are constantly argumentative, and they leave us when we, do things wrong, or they don't stick around, and they have standards and all this stuff. They just complain because they feel that black women, will stand up for themselves. So then they leave, right? And then they say, okay, I'm only going to date Caucasian or non-black women. But this story is a prime example of these men never changing, no matter what color or ethnicity the woman is. It doesn't matter. She could be white, Mexican, Asian, no matter what. It usually is the man here that truly has the issues. Truly is the broken individual, probably comes from a broken background, a broken childhood, missing the father component, a broken individual who doesn't want to face responsibility, no matter what that responsibility is. And so they think leaving the black community and divesting over into the white community is what's going to change the man. But in reality, this story is a prime example of no, it doesn't change the man simply because the man decides to date out of his ethnicity. He is still the same broken man who fails and refuses to face responsibility. So let's talk about this tragedy here. This story is just so inhumane, what he did to this poor woman. But see, it's sad because a lot of these women, they think, oh, he doesn't want to be with black women. He's with us white women because we treat them better, and I'm the preference, and they're gonna treat me better. And sadly, they reach a tragic reality that you still get the same black man. You still get the same toxic man. Doesn't even matter if he's black, white, Mexican. But if the man himself is broken, you will still get the same broken man, no matter if you're a preference or not. You have to look within the soul of the man to find out truly who they are. So let's talk about this sad case. So this woman here, she was due to have her baby next month. She was 8 months pregnant, you guys. She was almost there to the finish line to give birth. And that was when Mr. Gentleman here realized he was at a time crunch to end this woman's life, to end the pregnancy. And the sad thing is, given that Roe versus Wade is scheduled to be overturned, and a lot of these states are going to be shutting down the possibility of people getting abortions, we're going to sadly see a huge increase in a lot of these tragedies in the black community. Because what I've noticed, I noticed these trends where women end up murdered by their black man. It's usually a black man who doesn't want the woman's kid, basically. They don't want responsibility. Like the stories, basically, when the men end up taking the life of a woman when she's pregnant, it's usually a black man that does it. I don't know. You guys put in the chat if you've seen any other stories outside of the black community where they kill the woman specifically because she's pregnant. I haven't seen that really in other ethnic groups or other communities except for black men, which makes me believe that there is a common issue that I'm noticing in the black community, that black men don't like responsibility. They don't want to deal with the possibility of having kids, especially out of wedlock, because they don't want to deal with the possibility of child support. Child support is a huge issue. One of the issues, too, that Kevin Samuels hinged on in some of his live chats when he would talk to some certain women, he would tell the women to take the men off of child support. And also, Kevin Samuels himself didn't like paying child support and ended up being in arrears. So I'm kind of noticing a trend, even when I watch those shows, The Fatal Attraction, which is a show that really depicts the tragedies and the fatal attraction murders that happen in the Black community. And a lot of them I seen on that particular show, when someone's life was taken as it relates to pregnancy, it's usually a Black man that kills the woman because she's pregnant if he doesn't want the kid. It seems to be a huge issue in the Black community. So it made me think, these men, they don't want the responsibility of having these kids. And so they think the way to quickly get rid of it is by taking the woman's life, not really realizing the stupidity of their actions, because they end up like this man right here, on the verge of spending the rest of his life in prison. Very sad story. So, and the neighbor talks about how distraught her mother was, this poor woman's mother. And she probably thought that because she was the preference, she was going to get a different man. That she was going to get this man that was going to worship her and treat her, like the queen she is. But reality, she just got the same broken man who thought he could just walk all over her, and then realized when she finally got fed up with him, because they were on and off again, and she finally just got tired of all the mess, like most Black women do. And he was like, no, you're not going to leave me, and you're pregnant, and I don't want to deal with child support. So he did the worst thing to her that I have seen in quite some time with domestic violence cases. So let's talk about it. So this is out in Illinois. Oh, we know a lot of crazy things happen in Illinois, especially in Chicago, Illinois. But a pregnant Illinois woman was found decapitated, you guys. He decapitated her outside her apartment in the city of Alton, and her ex-boyfriend has been arrested for the heinous crime. Isn't that crazy? He literally decapitated her. That is like the worst way to me to go out. I don't know about you guys, but to be decapitated, oh my gosh, you guys, I can't. This story is just crazy. The victim, a white woman named Lise Dodd, she's only 22 years old, guys, reportedly had an on and off 2-year relationship with 22-year-old Black man named DeAndre Holloway. So 2-year relationship, that must have been a tumultuous relationship. And see, that's why a lot of these Black men, they divest, is because they know the non-Black woman will tolerate their mess. And you can see she was with him for 2 years on and off. So they had a lot of issues throughout those 2 years. Some Black women would have been like, I'm done with you. I'm done. But see, they like to divest because they think, oh, okay, well, she's going to put up with all my mess. But eventually, Lise Dodd got tired of him and was like, I'm done. But she was pregnant. That was the problem. And another problem, too, with men in the Black community, they can't handle rejection. So if you try to leave and they're a toxic Black man, then they will try to take your life also. But this story has the extra layer of not wanting the responsibility of having a kid and having to deal with child support also. Dodd's mother, Heidi Noel, said he is not the father of the unborn child. What? What? Let's back that up, guys. Back that up. Rewind the whole article. Dodd's mother, Heidi Noel, said he is not the father of the unborn child. That is interesting. I wonder, though, if DeAndre Holloway knew that. That is the question that we need to ask. Because she might have known that. But if in his mind he believed it was his child, that could also have a factor to play. Because I've seen a lot of those fatal attraction stories, if you guys watch them, where the guy could just think that the woman's pregnant and then take her life. And then later on in the story, they find out that the woman wasn't even pregnant. You know what I mean? So we don't know if he even knew that. Also, there's an other layer. If he did know that he was not the father, was he in a rage because she cheated on him? Because they're in a 2-year off and on relationship. And you guys already know when the time that is off in these men's toxic mind, even when they're in a break or on a break or on a breakup, in their toxic mind, they think that that woman is still their woman. So if she was out dating while they were on a break, quote unquote, he still believes she was his woman. So if she was pregnant with another man's child, that could have also been a factor that enraged this man. There was a whole bunch of layers of why he was enraged. Number one, I notice a huge theme here. A lot of these black men lately have been killing women who leave them. There's another story I'm going to be covering too. The same thing. This woman left her man. I'll probably come back on live after this. But she left her man and he came back and killed her daughter. And he was a black man. So it's like I'm noticing these huge themes that a lot of black men are just killing their women because they're leaving them. They cannot take rejection. And also, if you end up pregnant, they don't like that either. And this story has an extra layer of when they were off and on. The question that we need to ask is, did he have this rage in him because he believes, of course, she cheated if the child not his. So that's another extra layer there. Interesting. So Dodd's mother, Heidi Noel, said he is not the father. Keep that in your notes. Last week, Dodd's family was planning her baby shower. Now they're planning the woman's funeral. This man probably couldn't let this woman go. That's what this sounds like. Because if they have been broke up for a long time and she got moved on, got pregnant with someone else's kid, I wonder if he just could not let this woman go. Like the typical man, typical misogynistic black man, they cannot take it. They just want you to just sit there and be a doormat and take all the abuse, as I was talking about before. We were planning her baby shower for the end of this month, Noel told KMOV. I had just sent out invitations the prior Saturday for the baby shower. We are just excited and gathering the items you need to have a baby. Oh, that's sad. They're just planning a baby shower and now they have to plan this woman and the baby's funeral. Isn't that sad?
Information tonight in the case of a Metro East mother and her unborn baby killed in a heinous murder.
And we do want to warn you here, some of the details of this are just really graphic and difficult to hear. DeAndre Holloway is accused of beheading his pregnant ex-girlfriend at her home in Alton. Police say last week, Lisa Dodd's mother went to check on her daughter and found her dead. Authorities tell News 4 Holloway put Lisa's head in a dumpster. Her baby was due next month.
This daughter, this mother-to-be, and her family were in the planning stages of a baby shower that was supposed to be at the end of June. But instead, now the family is planning a funeral because of what a monster did.
And Holloway faces multiple charges, including 2 counts of first-degree murder and dismembering a human body. Alton police have him in custody on a $2 million bond.
Information tonight.
That is so sad, you guys. Dang, beheaded her. I haven't heard a story this bad in a while, guys. You let me know what you guys think. Well, she wasn't set. They said she wasn't set on a name yet. Said my little bean. So she said it was her little bean. So we essentially were calling the baby Bean, she shared. Oh, that's sad. Dang, I can't imagine what her mom is going through to know her daughter was beheaded, you guys. Holloway has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of intentional homicide to an unborn child, because basically the child was pretty much, she could have delivered this month. I mean, it would have been premature, but the baby was fully developed by now. I mean, she was going to have the baby in July. It was pretty much almost there to the finish line. So, of course, yes, 2 counts of first-degree murder. Dismembering a human body, offenses relating to motor vehicles and concealment of homicide death per Daily Mail. He is being held in jail for a $2 million bond. $2 million. So he is not getting out, you guys. As reported, Alton Police Chief Marcos Pulido called Holloway a monster in an emotional video posted in Facebook. And that is just sad. You know, the thing is, you know, she thought that she was going to get this high value man because she was his preference. But the thing we have to learn is that it's the man inside that needs to change, not the fact that he thinks he can date out of his ethnicity and be a new man or get a different result. No, you need to fix the issues inside before you start dating any person. Doesn't matter who you date. Dodd was due to deliver her first child in July. Oh. It was Dodd's mother who found her decapitated body. No. Just imagine, you guys, I can't even put you guys in her shoes. Just imagine you come and find your own kid's body decapitated. Oh my gosh, she's never going to get that out of her head. It was Dodd's mother who found her decapitated body. Dang. I'm speechless. I can't imagine her mom. Authorities said the woman's head was found in a nearby dumpster. Dang, so he decapitated her and then took her head and put the head in a dumpster, you guys. This man is just demonic. And these men, they're heinous. They have no form of empathy in them. They are just mass murderers. They don't care. No ounce of empathy at all. She was just a bright light that cared for everyone, Noel told KMOV. She had a big heart. She'd do anything for anyone. She'd go out of her way to help people. She added, I just wish she would have known how loved she was, that she wouldn't have been alone, and that she could have gotten out of this relationship and had a full life. That is so sad. She was 22 years old, you guys. She barely even started life. Dang. You got this story is like you got to be careful who you get involved with. Very careful. So
Right now, Deandra Holloway is locked up and faces multiple charges for a crime the police say was unthinkable. Justina Cornell shares the horrific details from Alton.
They let us know that somebody was found dead next door.
That's when April Wooten learned the unimaginable, that her neighbor, 22-year-old Lisa Dodd, had been decapitated.
To have to lose a child that way, and that baby is an extension of her mother and the rest of her family, so they lost a child as well. They lost two.
Alton's police chief said that Dodd's mother hadn't heard from her in a few days, so last Thursday she went to check up on her daughter and found her in that horrific state. The crime scene was at Dodd's apartment in Alton, off of Bolivar Street.
They just recently had moved in.
She was 8 months pregnant when she was killed. Her family was planning her baby shower at the end of June.
Her family would not be burying her in their grandchild.
Dodd had an on-again, off-again relationship with 22-year-old Deandra Holloway for about 2 years. Now Holloway faces several charges. Alton police chief says
Has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of intentional homicide of an unborn child.
We're here as a resource. We're here to be supportive.
Maggie Menifee is the executive director of Alive, an organization that advocates for survivors of domestic violence. She has seen an increase in violence and the severity of those cases.
Just this year alone, we've had 330 referrals from law enforcement who they've already screened the client to be at high risk of being murdered.
Meanwhile, April Wooten says she'll never forget the pain of her neighbor's mom after she learned what happened. Court records say the suspect is accused of leaving Dodd's head in a dumpster, and Wooden tells me she could feel the pain of Dodd's mother.
She looks so broken. She looks so broken.
Justina Cornell, 5 on your side.
The Alive organization says
that's crazy, guys. That's crazy. Imagine, man, the mom had to go there and find her daughter like that because of this sick man. So, I mean, this is a lesson to women of all ethnicities. Just because these men try to treat you as a preference, because they say, hey, I don't want to date in my ethnicity, I'm going to go and date out of my ethnicity. If the man is broken, it doesn't matter who you are, what color you are, what you look like. They will still be the same broken, toxic, disastrous man as this man is. And that is just the sad thing about it. He thought, hey, I'm going to date out of my ethnicity, get this, white woman here, poor woman, young woman, 22-year-old woman. And he still was the same broken man. And we can tell that this was a tumultuous relationship because it was a 2-year on and off again. So very tumultuous relationship. And then there's possibly some other extra layer of when they were on that break, one of those breaks, she ends up pregnant. The mother says she doesn't think it was his. We don't know really what, who, what, where, and why, how the kid ended up getting in the picture. Was it her kid? Was it not? Or this man could have been in an enraged state, knowing that she had been carrying the child of another man, And these men cannot handle anything like that. They are full of a bunch of anger, rage, insecurity, deep embedded insecurity. And a lot of them come from broken homes where they don't have that essential father component. So they don't know how to be or to function in a healthy relationship because they grew up in these broken homes that didn't teach them the essential qualities of being a great spouse to someone. So they end up growing up becoming these monsters that end up victimizing the women in their life. And I think this is a key story that can educate women of all ethnicities, because I think women of other ethnicities, when they get these men who divest and say, hey, I don't date women in my ethnicity and I only date non-black women, these women that end up getting these men, they think, oh, I'm the preference, I'm special, I get the special treatment. And so they don't really look at the man for who he truly is inside. And if this man is toxic and dangerous, they tend to overlook all those toxic qualities and continue to allow these men in their life. And then sadly, there are some stories out there that end in tragedies like this, where this woman's life was tragically taken from her by her head being beheaded by her being decapitated, and him taking her head and putting her head in a dumpster. He amounted her to of no value and just trashed her in a dumpster. That's how he saw her, as trash. That's sad. A human being, a soul, someone he was with for 2 years, when she was no more of any use to him because she may have decided to finally let him go, who knows? Or he couldn't accept the fact about the baby. I don't know if he thought it was his kid, because if he had that extra layer of thinking his kid, or the fact that she's carrying another man's child and it's almost the time for her to give birth, he couldn't handle it. But the way he treated her body, decapitating her and throwing her head in a trash can, you guys, that is just beyond evil. You are looking evil in the eyes right now. This man has no soul. And there's a lot of men like this walking around. And a lot of these men, you guys, are in the manosphere. This man is probably a Kevin Samuels fan. They are monsters. These are broken men who have a lot of anger and rage in them. They're lost in society because, like I said, they're missing that essential father component. And a lot of them come from these broken families, and so they grow up and don't know how to function in society, and they end up victimizing the people in their life. They're really broken, dark, demonic, evil men. So you need to be careful about the men that are in that community, that manosphere community. And I'm not generalizing. Please don't take what I'm saying the wrong way. I'm not saying all black men are bad. No, that is not what I'm saying, period. I'm just saying that narrow group of population of individuals that tend to follow the Kevin Samuels mindset. That's what I'm saying. That narrow group of men that have that mindset that Kevin Samuel thinks like, those men tend to be like this man on the screen. They're womanizers, and they are coming out of the woodwork, and they're taking women's life left and right. There are so many stories. I mean, and we've seen domestic violence for many decades, but you guys, in this year alone, there are tons of stories like every day. I have never in all of my life seen so many stories with men that look like this man taking the lives of women because they don't want to be with him anymore. They want to break up. I'm going to do another story, probably not tonight, maybe tonight. Who knows? I might come back on the live that are taking these women out just because they don't even want to be with them anymore. They'll just say, hey, I don't want to be with you. And they come in a fit of rage and just take the women out. I mean, there was another story last year of a married woman, and her husband had repeatedly cheated on her for many years, and she finally got tired of him cheating. And so she said she wanted a divorce, and he shot her 10 times in front of their son. And he was the one in the wrong. He was the one that was cheating. So it's like, man, God, and he looked just like this man on the screen. I'm just saying. It seems like this community, guys, is very broken, and there's a lot of angry men in this community that are on edge. And if you end up with one of these men, The only way out for these men is to take your life or someone close to you because they want you to suffer. So it's just sad. You guys keep this woman in your prayer. What do you guys think about this tragic story? Hi, Stand Down. You said, I think the rapper or gang lifestyle has taken over their mind. Fast cars, gold, mansions, babes. Just living the rich life, not the family man. I hope he spends his life in prison. Exactly, Stand Down. I think you're right. There's this disgusting mindset. Yeah, I think I told you this before when there were a bunch of men in Kevin Samuel's secret group. He had a group on Facebook, and there was a man in there who said the same thing what Standout was saying, get money, live a rich life, no need for a family. Because I told you a lot of these black men, they don't want responsibility. They don't want the kids. They don't want to get married. They don't want none of that stuff. They want to just sleep around with no protection and then move on with their life when they're tired of you and just have multiple women. That's really what they want. So that's what the man was saying in the group, right? But on his Facebook profile, he had a whole kid in the picture with him. It's like, why are you talking about get money, fast cars, and all this stuff? Don't worry about family, but you got a whole kid next to you in a profile picture. That's what I'm saying. Like Standout was saying, that's the mindset. They don't want the family unit because they're not used to it. They grew up in these broken households that didn't have the full family structure. So when they grow up, they don't know what it means to have a family. So they just want to sleep around, keep you around until they're tired of you and move on with the next relationship or whatever, next situationship with no responsibility, no strings attached, no kids, no child support, none of that stuff. And if they do want to keep you around, they don't want you leaving them either. Like this sick man, their ego gets involved and their low self-esteem. And so they see you as a form of property. And if they're not ready to discard that property, then you have to stick around. And if you decide that you want to leave, that's when they think that they could just take your life like he did this woman. And that is sad what he did to her. Dang, guys, dang. That's crazy. I'm sorry, guys, I'm speechless. Oh, man. Anco, this is deep what Anco says. Red flag. If a black guy doesn't date black women for racist reasons. Exactly. That is a red flag, Anco. The manosphere is dangerous. Exactly, Anco. Preach. Preach. It's very true. I mean, these women don't realize it. They're thinking, oh, yeah, he divested. He's dating me. I'm the preference. Da, da, da. But those men are really broken men. The reason why they left the black woman is because she holds them accountable. She sees through the mess, and she's not going to put up with it. And they don't want you telling them what to do. I mean, Kevin Samuel said that in his very original beginning videos is that black men, or not black men, men generally do not like responsibility. They don't want to hear you try to correct them in any way. So black women will tell it like it is. Okay, they're going to tell you about your mess and they're going to hold you accountable. There was actually a story like that with the Trouble, rapper Trouble. The woman that he was last with, Risa Royce. She was fussing at the rapper boyfriend the week before her and Trouble linked up, basically. And she was arguing with him in the car, telling him that he needed to pay bills. You know, he needed to be more responsible. He wasn't helping her with the bills. And so she was fussing at him about paying bills and helping out in the family, contributing. And that's when he punched her in the nose. See, that's how these black men think in their head. They don't want you telling them to pay bills and be responsible men. And the minute you start telling them about their mess, they'll punch you in the nose like he did to Risa Royce. That's the kind of examples I'm saying. Like, they don't want to hear what you have to say. So instead of hearing your correction, they react in violence. Or in Kevin Samuel's situation, they didn't really watch him. He didn't go viral until he started getting on black women because they want black women to behave. So like Anco said, it's a red flag when you notice that these black men in the manosphere say they're divesting, because that means they have huge mental health issues, meaning they probably come from a broken home, so they have mommy issues. And there is a particular man in the manosphere who actually posted a community page post about it saying, oh, one of the things in the black community is the black mother. And the black mother has, destroyed the black man. So they have this hatred originally for their black mother. They grow up hating their black mother. And so they get older, and so they already have hatred for black women because they already formulated this hatred from childhood. And then when they get in a relationship with a black woman and they see certain characteristics that remind them of their black mother, then they decide to divest. And then they end up with these women, and they're already broken men already. So then now they start victimizing these women, but they are very kind and passive women who will accept it for many years, on and off again for 2 years, until finally it can reach a tragic end, as this tragic story is. And it's so sad what he did, guys. He decapitated her. I can't believe this. And then threw her head in the garbage, you guys. Woo! Hi, Confessions in Therapy. Hi, sweetie. Isn't that crazy? All right, guys. Thank you for watching this. This story is just too much for me to handle. You guys take care. Be safe out there. Make sure you test the people that you're dating. This story is very tragic, and it could happen to any of us. So just be careful. These stories are shared to raise awareness, because we have to learn about these things so that we can protect ourselves in the end. All right, take care, guys. Have a wonderful